All right, we'll say good morning. Let's begin to thank our Talmud Torah sponsors for the month of Kislev, to thank Josh and Becca Friedman for dedicating all the learning this month, Le'ilui Nishmas, Josh's father, Yisrael Yehuda ben Rav Chaim Rifal, on the occasion of his first yahrzeit, and to Sammy and Malka Esterson for dedicating all of the learning this month, Le'ilui Nishmas, Malka's parents, Ludwig Stiefel, Yitzchak Leib and Aaron Cohen, Sarah Stiefel, Sarah Rachel Bas Baruch Avram, and Sammy's mother, Hinda Esterson, Hinda Bas Henech Ephraim. We hope then the merit of our Talmud Torah, the Neshamas will have an aliyah, and the families a nechama. We will say with that, let us begin. So we left off yesterday. Today's daf is Mem Aleph. We left off on Mem Aleph Amud Aleph. 3 lines down from the top. So we'll say just to reorient ourselves a little bit. We began yesterday in a very interesting discussion regarding Yotzei Dolphin. That what happens with a cesarean birth? What is the status and implication of that birth on Hilchos Leida? Or more importantly, again, 3 parts. Remember, again, when we see Hilchos Leida, we really refer to 3 parts of Hilchos Leida. Number 1, Yimei Tumah, days in which she is tamei. Number 2, Yimei Tara, days in which she is tar even if she bleeds. And number 3, the obligation to bring a carbon. So fundamental machlokes in the Mishnah, what happens if a woman delivers a baby via C-section? Ultimately, again, is she subject to the halachos of Leida or not? So remember again, we have the Rabbanon who say no. Halacha l'maisa, the din of Leida is a din in natural birth. We have Rabbi Shimon who says it is karizek ki yalud. Ultimately, again, the birth of a baby C-section gives a woman all regular hilchos Leida. So we got caught up yesterday in a statement by Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said that Rabbi Shimon, even Rabbi Shimon who holds that Yotzei Dolphin is a regular Leida, will agree in a case ultimately of Kadshim, of a sacrificial animal, that ultimately, again, an animal born, and we'll discuss the parameters of that, but an animal born via C-section does not have Kedushas Haguf, does not have physical sanctity, but at most can possess monetary sanctity, which means, again, its value is pledged to the Beis HaMikdash, but the body of the animal itself is not physically consecrated. So the Gemara tried to prove that particular point by going on a pretty significant detour. That detour took up most of all of Amud Beis yesterday, but led the Gemara ultimately again to the conclusion that what? So the Katani Mihas, which is where we pick up today, Katani Mihas, will say, out of this whole discussion yesterday that came from Rabbi Yochanan, Katani Mihas, Yotzei Dolphin Delo. We'll say, what do you see from this whole discussion that we saw in yesterday's daf? That ultimately, again, an animal that is Yotzei Dolphin does not possess physical sanctity. So remember again, just to give you the context, the discussion that we were having yesterday on Amud Beis was what happens if you have an animal that is unfit, that was inadvertently placed on the Mizbeach. So do you go ahead and remove that animal once it's been placed, or do we say once it's left on there, ultimately again you leave it on there? So that again was subject to machlokes. Rabbi Shimon had a very expansive view, and Rabbi Shimon essentially said following. Rabbi Shimon explained that halacha l'maisa, any animal shepisula b'kodesh, right? Rabbi Shimon said any animal that the invalidation was caused as a result of something in the sacrificial process, if you inadvertently put that animal on the mizbeach, you leave it there. Versus an invalidation that occurred because of something before the sacrificial process, if you inadvertently place the animal on the mizbeach, you would take it off. So we'll say, but the idea that came out of there is that, again, cesarean section would be an example of an invalidation that occurred prior to the sacrificial service, and therefore, halacha l'maisa, if you inadvertently placed that animal on the mizbeach, halacha l'maisa, what says Rabbi Shimon? Take it down. So you see from here that what? That an animal born, that a Yotzei Dolphin animal does not have Kedushas Haguf. That was the idea, supporting Rabbi Yochanan's interpretation of Rabbi Shimon on Mem Amud Aleph. To which the Gemara says, my love, Yotzei Dolphin the Kadshim, are we not speaking about Yotzei Dolphin of Kadshim, Amrafun Breid Rav Nasan, lo, Yotzei Dolphin the Bechar? Maybe not. No, perhaps again, The case that Rabbi Shimon is referring to is the case of Yotzei Dolphin of Bechar. That halacha l'maisa, what happened over here? That if you have a Bechar that was born Yotzei Dolphin, and you inadvertently, and therefore Rabbi Shimon is saying that animal does not possess Bechar sanctity. Says the Gemara, Yotzei Dolphin of Bechar bipeterechem nafka. So say, remember again, in yesterday's daf there was also a whole discussion about miutim. Zos Toras ha'ola, hi ha'ola. So remember again, we had three different miutim of Zos, hi, and ha'ola. So the Gemara was discussing what Rabbi Shimon was darshaning from the word Zos, to which the Gemara says, I don't need a drasha to teach me that a bechar that is a yotzei dofen doesn't have Kiddushas Bechar. Why not? Because when it comes to Bechar, I have an explicit pasuk. What's the explicit pasuk? Peterechem. Torah goes out of its way to say that the Bechar has to be the opening of the womb. To which the Gemara says, so therefore, obviously, a Bechar that's Yosei Dofen doesn't have Kiddushas Bechar. Elamai dekachim. Rather, says the Gemara, so Elamai, rather, what do you have to say? What's being excluded over here? Dekachim. Rabbi Shimon must be coming to exclude halacha l'maisa, an animal, a kachim animal, a sacrificial animal, that was born yotzei dofen, that it does not have kiddushas haguf. To which the Gemara says, imo nafka. To which the Gemara says, well, again, kachim, I can learn that from the gzeira shav of imo. Right? It says imo, we saw in yesterday's daf as well. It says imo by bechar. It says imo by kachim. Just like by bechar, if it's yotzei dofen, it does not have kiddushas haguf. So too by kachim, if it's yotzei dofen, it doesn't have kiddushas haguf. To which the Gemara says, haimai, I amrit bishlama di kachim hainu ditzrichi trei kroi. So now watch this. So what the Gemara is now suggesting is as follows. It could very well be that we have two psukim, both that teach us, when we say psukim, we really mean two sources, both which teach us that kachim that are born yotzei dofen do not have kiddushas haguf. Now, why would you need two psukim, both to teach me kachim? I'll tell you why. Bishlama de kachim hanu ditzrichi trei kroi. So also remember again, it makes sense if you tell me that by kachim I have two limudim that teach me that what? That yotzei dofen doesn't have kiddushas haguf. And I will say, what are those two limudim? Number one is zos. Number two is the gzeira shav of imo from bechar. Why would I need two? Watch this. The Gemara says, Chad lebehimas chulin do'olid derech dofen va'akadsha, v'chad lebehimas kachim do'olid derech dofen, v'kasavar vlados kachim ba'avyasan egidosher. We'll say, watch this. This is fascinating, and I know that you were thinking about this from the moment that ultimately, again, we read Rabbi Yochanan's interpretation of Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yochanan said that what? Rabbi Yochanan said Rabbi Shimon holds that halacha l'maisa, an animal that's born, a kachim animal that's born yotzei dofen, doesn't have kiddushas haguf. We'll say, what was the obvious shal you were thinking about? What kind of animal is that? Right? What are we talking about over here? Remember, when we speak about a kachim animal, there are two different types of kachim animals. There's an animal that was born a chulin animal and was sanctified, and then there's an animal that was born to another animal that already had sacrificial sanctity. So I'll say, so watch this. Rabbi Shimon comes along and says, we need two drashas to teach me that both of these types of animals neither possess Kiddushas Haguf when born Yotzei Dofen, which means as follows. That halacha l'maisa, if you have an animal that was a regular animal, a chulin animal, that was born Yotzei Dofen, one drasha teaches me that what? That halacha l'maisa, that animal can never be consecrated as a karban. It is unable to acquire Kiddushas Haguf. Second drasha teaches me that what? That halacha l'maisa, under normal circumstances, when, let's say, a carbonic animal gives birth, that animal has carbonic sanctity. But halacha l'maisa, if the carbonic animal birthed its offspring through a yotzei dofen, ultimately, again, that offspring does not have kiddushas haguf, does not have sacrificial sanctity like its mother. And this would mean v'kasavar, because Rabbi Shimon holds, vlados kachim, the offspring of sacrificial animals, behavyasan hein kiddoshin, ultimately again become kadosh when? Upon their birth. So Rabbi says, so this then would tell me, it's really quite fascinating, this then would explain to me why it is that I need two drashas to teach me the same thing. Because halacha, well, at least it seems like the same thing, because halacha l'maisa, it's two different cases, right? One is a case of a chulin animal that became kaddish, and therefore one drasha teaches me that if that animal was born, a chulin animal born yotzei dolphin, cannot acquire sacrificial sanctity. And second halacha teaches me that even if the animal was born to a mother that was already carbonically sanctified, if that offspring was a yotzei dolphin, that offspring does not retain its mother's sacrificial sanctity. Ella, itmar de bechar. But if you want to say that Rabbi Shimon is simply referring to a bechar animal, and tell me that a bechar animal, if born yotzei dolphin, does not have bechar sanctity, I don't need any drasha for that. That's a mefurish pasuk. Mi patarech and nafka. We'll say the pasuk is quite explicit in its discussion regarding bechar, teaching me that what? That halacha l'maisa. If an animal is not petarechem, then what? Then ultimately it does not have bechar sanctity. Hachinai mistabra, to which the Gemara says, you're right. The truth is, we like this interpretation, that in fact what? That in fact Rabbi Shimon is really referring to two different types of animals. One type of animal which is a chulin animal that you are then sanctifying. The second type of animal, ultimately, that's what? That is born to a sacrificial animal. And Rabbi Shimon is teaching me that halacha l'maisa, either of these two animals, if they are a yotzei dolphin, do not acquire sacrificial sanctity. So the Gemara says, Hachinayim mistabra. I really shouldn't say sacrificial sanctity. We'll call it physical sanctity. Hachinayim mistabra. This would appear to be clear. Medik tani, because you have to remember again, what else was included in this list of Rabbi Shimon? Harovea, v'hanirva, v'hamukza, v'hanevad, v'hakilayim. So just remember again, included in the list of things that according to Rabbi Shimon, that if you place them on the mizbeach, you take them off afterwards, were the case of the animal that's sodomized, was sodomized, set aside for avodah zarah, worshipped for avodah zarah, or kilayim, some type of forbidden mixtures of species. Honey, mehacha nafka. Ultimately, again, I will say, are these learned out from the word zos? Mehasam nafka. Ultimately, again, they're learned out from a different drasha. Which drasha? Minha behema. So we'll say, listen to this. So they learned that actually from a different drasha. We've seen this before. The pasuk says as follows: Dabir b'nei Yisrael v'amart alehem. Speak to the Jewish people and say unto them, Adam ki yakriv miken karban laHashem. If a person amongst you will offer up a carbon to Hashem. Now, both listen to the wording of the pasuk. Min ha-behema, min ha-bakar, min ha-tzon, takrivas karban chem. Also, we've seen this drasha before. Min means from what? Right? Or min means, right? From the behema, from the bakar, from the tzon. So the Gemara has already dashed in the both say that lashon of min means what? That there are some bakar, some tzon, some behema that can go ahead and be offered, but not all behema, bakar, and tzon. Comes to exclude. So the Gemara says, mina behema, what does it come to? So the Gemara gives a drush. Mina behema, lahotzi harovea. So we'll say, mina behema comes to exclude what? An animal, mina ve'avenirva, animal that's sodomized or was sodomized. Mina bakar, lahotzi es hanevat. That comes to exclude ultimately an animal that was worshipped for avodah zarah. Mina tzon, from the tzon. Lahotzias hamukza, to go ahead and exclude an animal set aside for idolatrous service. Uminatzon, and above here we have an additional drasha, because not only does it say minatzon, but it says what? Uminatzon, that extra vav, lahotzi es hanogeach, to go ahead and exclude an animal that gores. Visu, furthermore, kilayim mehacha nafka, is kilayim learned out from here? Mehasa nafka, kilayim is learned out from a different drasha. What's the drasha for kilayim? Shor, O Kislev, O A's. So we'll say the pasuk says Shar Kislev O A's. Shar Pratla Kilayim. So we'll say Shar comes to exclude Kilayim. We'll say that halacha l'maisa, if you have an animal that is a mixture of other animals, you did some crossbreeding. Rashi says mina A's or mina kevesh. Right? Or mina kevesh, right? Kevesh, sorry. You go ahead and you crossbreed a ram and a sheep. Right? So we'll say halacha l'maisa, that resulting offspring cannot be used for sacrificial purposes. O A's. The lashon of oes, prat linidme. I will say, if remember again, we saw nidme actually in our chulin days. If you look at Rashi, nidme, aviv v'imo min ha'ez v'hu keves. So I'll say, interestingly enough, this is where the parents are of the same species, but for some reason the offspring looks different. looks different. The so as I see, the Gemara says as follows. I'm sorry. Ella, it's strichu treikrai. Therefore, we'll say, what do you see from here? You see from here that halacha lamaisa, we need two psukim. We need two different drashas. Why do I need two different drashas? Chad lebehemas chulin, v'chad lebehemas kadshim. So we'll say, what you begin to see is that in a lot of these cases, you have two parallel drashas, right? Addressing really two different groupings of animals. What are the two different groupings? So we'll say, whenever you want to exclude a particular animal from sacrificial service, we begin to see a theme, but like a model, that you seem to have repetitive drashas, to which the Gemara says they're not repetitive. They're referring to two different categories of animals. What are the two different categories of animals? One is a chulin animal that you want to sanctify, and the second is the offspring of an animal that already has sacrificial sanctity. So we'll say, anytime you find an exclusion for an animal from sacrificial service, we're always going to have these two different drashas. So anytime an animal is excluded from sacrificial service, there's two drashas. One drasha teaches me that the animals that if the animal is chulin, it cannot be consecrated as a carbon, and another drasha teaches me that even if this animal was born to a mother that already has sacrificial sanctity, this particular offspring does not retain it. Hachinami, so too over here by Yotzei Dolphin, it's tzrich trei krai. So too, when it comes to Yotzei Dolphin, we're also going to have these two drashas. So we'll say, so what's happening over here, just so you understand, is that we are supporting the position of Rabbi Shimon, that even Rabbi Shimon, who says in the Mishnah that Yotzei Dolphin is a bona fide leda, right? That a cesarean section is a bona fide leda, will agree that in the case of animals, such an animal does not possess sanctity. What type of animal are we referring to in Rabbi Shimon's mouth? What type of animal doesn't possess sanctity? Two different possibilities, two different animals. What it means is either A, an animal that was chulin, and if that animal was a Yotzei Dolphin, that animal cannot be sanctified with Kiddusha Sago, physical sanctity, or even if the mother already had sacrificial sanctity, physical sanctity, and gave birth to a baby Yotzei Dolphin, that offspring does not retain its mother's physical sanctity. Two different drashas of Rabbi Shimon. Good. Tan Raban. The Gemara goes weiter. Hamikasha shlosh yom v'yatzav vlad derech Dolphin. Well, this is a very interesting case. So, what happens if halacha l'maisa? We've seen this case before. Rashi says Hamikasha gimel yomim b'mei ziva v'ra'a sadam kol shlosha derech rechem. So, we'll say now. Watch this. A woman is in labor for 3 days. Now, we'll say now. Remember again, it happens. These 3 days are during her days of zivus. Right? During the days where if she were to see blood under normal circumstances, she would become a zava. So we'll say, so remember again, we know the halacha because we've seen it before. If a woman bleeds and that bleeding results in a birth, then ultimately, again, that blood is not considered dam ziva, that blood is considered to be dam leda. Right? So for example, if a woman were to go ahead and have bleeding for 3 days, during the days of her zivus, but would then give birth, she would not be a zava gidola. Rather, again, she would be a woman who gave birth. Right? That would be the halacha. So watch this interesting case. So Mekasha shlosh yom v'yatza vlad derech Dolphin. I will say, what happens in the following situation? What happens if halacha l'maisa, she was in labor for 3 days, which means she bled 3 days. We're assuming over. She bled 3 days, but then ended up delivering her baby Yotzei Dolphin. So we'll say, so now the shaila is, what's her status vis-a-vis zava? So what's the halacha? Hare zu yoledes bezov. Ultimately, again, she is considered to be yoledes bezov. She's a zava gidola. Look at Rashi. The yatzav vlad derech Dolphin reisa yoledes bezov. Kilomar zavahi dechitia rachmana miziva damakoshi hani mili beleidam al yasa aval derech Dolphin lav lady. So we'll say, watch this. So the Tanakama, the Rabbanon say, listen. When do we say that if a woman bled 3 days during her Yemei Zivos, that she doesn't become a Zava Gidola? That's when that bleeding results in a normal birth. But in this case where the bleeding did not result in a normal birth, rather it resulted ultimately in a Yotzei Dolphin, then what? Then halacha l'maisa, she is a Zava Gedola. Right? That's not called Dam Leida, that's called Dam Zivus, and therefore halacha l'maisa, she's a Zava Gedola. Rabbi Shimon says, Ein zu yoledes bezov. Rabbi Shimon says, no, this is not called yoledes bezov. Ultimately, again, that is considered to be blood from Leida. Rashi says, Ein zu yoledes bezov. Rabbi Shimon tamei damar yotzei dofen vlad ma'alyu u'mataris kishos. Supposed to remember again, this is not a chiddush, this is just the Mishnah. It's the same thing as the Mishnah. Rabbi Shimon saying that Yotzei Dolphin, cesarean section, has the halachos of a normal, regular birth. And therefore, halacha l'maisa, when she bled for 3 days, that's called active labor, even though, again, it didn't result in a normal, quote-unquote, normal birth, natural birth, but instead resulted in the Yotzei Dolphin. Halacha l'maisa, she is not a yoledes bizov. Furthermore, v'dam hayotzi misham tamei, and blood, we'll see what this means. Rashi says, we'll see what this means later on. And blood that comes out is tamei. Rabbi Shimon Metar. Rabbi Shimon says the blood that comes out ultimately again is tahar. We'll see what that means in just a moment. So Bishlam Rabbi Shimon Letamei V'Rabban Letamayu. So the first part of this braysa makes sense, right? The truth is, the first part of the braysa is just another restatement of our Mishnah. Essentially, what are they arguing about? What they're arguing about is what is the nature of a Yotzei Dolphin birth. That's fundamentally what they are discussing. What happens when a woman delivers via Yotzei Dolphin? The Rabbanon will say it's not a birth. Halacha, meaning halacha l'maisa. Let me say not a birth, meaning it doesn't halachically have the don't say that to a woman who delivered via C-section, rather. Right? It doesn't have the status of a halachic status of a leida. And therefore what? If she bled for 3 days during her Yemei Zivus, leading up to that leida, she is a Zava Gedola. That's the Rabbanon. Rabbi Shimon, no. Yotzei Dolphin is a regular birth. And therefore, what? Halacha l'maisa, that bleeding leading up to the Yotzei Dolphin birth, halacha l'maisa has the din of a dam leida, not dam ziva. Therefore, she is a yoledes. So I will say, so Reish Rabbi Shimon Latami, Rabban Latamayu, Ela Seifa my pligi. So we'll say, but the shaila is, what about the Seifa? So remember again, the Seifa said that the Rabbanon say that the blood is tamei, and Rabbi Shimon says that the blood is tar. What are they arguing about? What's the discussion? So Amar Avinu Bose, watch this. Kigon sheyatsa vlad derech Dolphin. What's the case here, Rabbi? So first of all, look at Rashi for just a moment. I'll say my pligi. Haleka lememar dama yotzi imo derech Dolphin yet tame kedama lida dim kim ipchami baile Rabbi Shimon mitame damar vlad tu v'chacham mitarim elavada if you Rabbi Shimon lo havi ela kedam maka v'adar Rabbi Shimon masis and Yoshua le'meitum v'yitar v'lakam. It's fine. So what's the story with the blood? So when the Brisa said that according to Rabbi Shimon, the blood ultimately again is going to be tar. According to the Rabbanan, the blood is tamei. What's happening over here? Kigon sheyotza vlad derech Dolphin. So what's the case? The baby came out cesarean section, right? Yotzei Dolphin. What about the blood? Amud base. Vidam derech rechem. Shabbos said this is very interesting. So the baby came out Yotzei Dolphin. The blood came out naturally, right? The blood came out ultimately again through the rechem. The blood exited. So the baby was a cesarean section, but the blood exited the body vaginally. So the Gemara says, "V'dam derech rechem b'shloshe semeach Rashi tap Rashi on the base. V'dam derech rechem b'shloshe semeach koshi kodem leida." So we'll say, now watch this. During the 3 days leading up to the birth, where she's in labor, so the blood is exiting the body in the natural way. So we'll say, see now, this is very interesting. So the blood during the 3 days leading up to the birth is exiting the body in the quote-unquote natural way, but the baby ultimately comes out Yotzei Dolphin. So the shaila now is, what's the status of the blood? So look at Rashi, dam derech rechem, va'amar rabbanan dezivahi, de lo mitar levlad, de lav leidahi. Rabbi Shimon mitar letame, hoyel v'yimei zivahein, v'dam koshi b'yimei ziva rechmana tare. So I'll say, so now watch this. So now we begin to understand. So the Rabbanon will say that blood that comes out is what? Is tamei. Because according to the Rabbanon, what's the status of that blood? That's dam ziva. right? That's zivus blood. So therefore, again, that conveys tuma. According to Rabbi Shimon, ultimately, again, that's not zava blood, and the truth is, it's not even niddah blood. That's dam leda. That's dam leda. That's what they mean when they say it's tar. Obviously, I will say again. Rabbi Shimon is going to say when she gives birth, she's tamei tumas leda, but lamaisa, the blood itself is not dam zivos. So we'll say, so now again, so just holding cup over here. So remember again, the reisha of the brisa I understand. The reisha is quite simple, right? The reisha is telling me she's in active labor for 3 days, or she's bleeding for 3 days leading up to a yotzei Dolphin birth. So we'll say, so the first shaila is, what do I do with those 3 days of bleeding? The Rabbanon who say that yotzei Dolphin is not a regular leda will say that she's a zava gidola. Rabbi Shimon who says that yotzei Dolphin is a regular leda will say that she's not a zava gidola. The second part of the brisa seeks out the status of the blood. Rabbi Shimon says that the blood is tahar. The Rabbanon say that the blood is tameh. What's the pshat? Where's the blood? Where's the blood? So we're talking about over here where the blood comes out naturally, right? The blood comes out in its normal fashion. The Rabbanon who say that she is a zava will hold that the blood is tameh. The Rabbi Shimon who holds that she is a yoledes will ultimately say that the blood is tahar. Va'az the Rabbi Shimon l'tameh, v'Rabbanan l'tamahu. And I will say both Rabbi Shimon and the Rabbanan simply going according to their respectively held reasoning. So Maskif Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef is bothered by this. Chada dahainu reisha. So if that's the case, why do you have to state the second part of the brisa at all? I was supposed to say the second part of the brisa is just the same application. It's the same part. It's the same principle as the first. I was supposed to say, what are Rabbi Shimon and the Rabbanan arguing about? What are they arguing about fundamentally? Right? Is yotzei Dolphin considered to be leda or not? That's what they're arguing about. So this discussion regarding the blood in the second part of the brisa is just an application of the same machlokes. So why do you have to state it again? I will say in general, the way brisa and mishnayos work normally is how you state a principle or you state a machlokes in one case, we isolate the principle from the case and let's move on. You don't have to keep giving examples of cases in which they argue about. So once you told me about their machlokes regarding her status, if she delivered a baby yotzei Dolphin after 3 days of bleeding, there's no need to discuss the status of the blood. It's the same discussion. Va'od misham makom vlad mashma. I will say furthermore, there's something else. If you notice in the lashon of the brisa, so the brisa says v'dam hayotzei misham. In the second part of the brisa, they're arguing about blood that comes out from there. From there, I will say sounds like what? From there sounds like that the blood is coming out from the same place where the baby came out. Right? That's what Misham sounds like. So if we're talking about a yotzei Dolphin, it sounds like they're talking about blood that comes out from the incision, not that comes out naturally. To which they want to say, Allah Amar Rav Yosef, you're right. Here we go. Kigon sheyatza vlad v'dam derech Dolphin. Wow. So what's the machlokes, Rabbi say? The machlokes is about the blood that comes out as a result of the cesarean section. I will say, what is the status of that blood? So the Gemara says, here we go. So both the baby and the blood came out derech Dolphin. Look at Rashi. Sheyatza vlad v'dam derech Dolphin ubeplukta achrisihi. I will say, so the truth is, the Reisha and the Seifa are really reflecting two different machloksim. In the first part of the brisa, in the Reisha, they're arguing about the status of a yotzei Dolphin birth. Right? A woman has been bleeding for 3 days in her yemei zivus. That results in a yotzei Dolphin birth. The Rabbanan will say she's a zava gidola because yotzei Dolphin is not halachically considered a leda. Rabbi Shimon will say no, yotzei Dolphin is considered a leda, and therefore, again, she is not yoledes, but zov she's a yoledes. The second part of the brisa, I will say, deals with a separate type of machlokes. Ultimately, what? What's the status of blood that comes out yotzei Dolphin? Right? The first part of the brisa is the discussion about what's the status of a vlad, of a baby that comes out yotzei Dolphin. Second part of the brisa, what's the status of blood that comes out yotzei Dolphin? Rashi says again, let's look at Rashi. Sheyatza vlad v'dam derech Dolphin ubeplukta achrisi. It's a certain machlokes. V'lava koshikoi. It's not talking about again labor. Dereisha ayri kishiyatza dam derech rechem kodem leda. So I will say, watch this. So says the Gemara, "Ubemekar mekamot tamika miflagi." And what they're arguing about is as follows: what is the status of uterine blood that does not come out naturally? As I will say, so remember again, what happens if you have blood that was in the uterus but doesn't exit the body in the normal fashion? For example, in this case over here, where you have blood that's coming out again through the Yotzei Dolphin, right, through the cesarean section. The blood was in the uterus, but ultimately again never came out naturally. What's the status of that blood? So the Gemara says, Mar Savar, one opinion holds Mikar Mikamo Tame. So we'll say one opinion holds that Halacha L'maisa, the Makar, even if blood passes through the Makar, if the blood does not exit the body naturally, that blood is still Tameh, right? By virtue of the fact that it was in the Makar, ultimately again that makes it Tameh. Umar Savar, that would be the opinion of the Rabbanon. Umar Savar, on the other hand, Rabbi Shimon holds Mikar Mikomo Tahar. Halacha L'maisa, just because blood was in the Makar does not automatically make it Tameh. It's only Tameh when? If the blood mamish exits the body in the normal fashion. Look at Rashi, it's incredible. Rabbanon Savi Mikar Mikomo Tameh, Hilchach Tipas Dame Tameh. Va'af agav de derech Dolphin lav re'iyahi letamei es ha'isha tumas shiva miu tipa atzma mitama b'maga mishum dinaga b'mekar u'mekar mekam tamei. Rabbi Shimon Savar mekar mekam tar milatamei tipa no gaspo hilchach ki asa derech dam derech Dolphin tar milatamei u'kidam makidami v'ki asa nami derech rechem tar koi meziva heicha daleka shofi. So watch this. So their argument in the Seifa is something different. What their argument will say is, what is the status of blood that comes out via the incision for the cesarean section? So the Rabbanan will hold, once blood was in the Makar, ultimately again that blood becomes Tameh. And I will say we're going to see it becomes Tameh with a lesser form of Tumah, but it's Tameh nevertheless. Therefore I will say, amazingly enough, what the Rabbanan will say is like this. What's the status of a baby born, Derech Dolphin? According to the Rabbanan, what's the status? It's not a Niddah. It's not considered a Niddah. Interestingly enough, however, the blood that comes out with that baby, right, as part of that incision, will be metame the woman. Now let's be clear. What type of tumah we're going to see this? Not tumas Niddah. Not tumas Niddah. Tumas maga. Tumas maga. The blood itself is tameh. Ultimately, when the woman comes in contact with it externally, ultimately it'll make her tameh. Again, a lesser form of tumah, but tumah nevertheless. Rabbi Shimon, interestingly enough, holds that what? That Yotzei Dolphin is considered a halachic Niddah. Yet, interestingly enough, he holds that the only time that the blood is mitame is halacha l'maisa, when it comes out normally. But if the blood comes out via the Yotzei Dolphin incision, then what? Then halacha l'maisa, that does not convey tumah, because he holds mikar mikomo tahar. Just because blood was inside of the uterus does not automatically make it tameh. It remains tahar. Amrei Shlakish. So Reish Lakish says l'divrei hametame b'dam metame b'isha. So we'll say, interestingly enough, so Reish Lakish says, according to the Rabbanon, who hold that the blood is tameh, ultimately again, metame b'isha. They should hold that what? That halacha l'maisa, the blood is therefore metame the woman. Look at Rashi, metame b'isha, tumas shiva mishum re'iyas niddah, va'af agav deba derech Dolphin. So therefore, according to the Rabbanan, who hold that mekar mekamo tameh, as soon as blood comes in contact with the uterus, ultimately the blood is tameh. Therefore, when the blood comes out, even through the incision of Yotzei Dolphin, the woman should be tameh tumas niddah. The divrei hametayar b'dam metar b'isha. According ultimately to Rabbi Shimon, who holds that the blood is tahar. Why? Because he holds mikar mikomo tameh. Mikar mikomo tahar. Then ultimately, when the blood comes out, it shouldn't impact the woman. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Af l'divrei hametame b'dam metar b'isha. So we'll say, watch this. Rabbi Yochanan says, even according to the opinion who says that mikar mikomo tameh, which means any blood that is in the uterus, by definition, is going to be tameh, and therefore, ultimately, when it comes out through the incision of Yotzei Dolphin, right, that blood is tameh. Nevertheless, the woman is tahar. The woman is tahar. Why? Va'az Rabbi Yochanan l'tameh, the Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mishra b'Shem Yochai, minayin she'ein isha tmeya ad sheyetze madve derech ervasa. Because I will say there's another halacha over here. And that halacha says, how do we know that a woman only becomes tameh tumas niddah when? When the blood exits the body in a normal fashion, in a normal flow. Shene'emar, v'ish asher yishkav es isha dava, v'gila es ervasa, es mikora he'ara. As I will say, the pasuk says, if a man will go ahead and have relations with Isha Dava. So I will say Dava in this context literally means flowing. Talking about over here, a man who has relations with a woman who is in Niddah, Vigilas Ervasa, he uncovered her nakedness, Es Mikara Ha'ara. Melami, what do we learn from this? She'ein Isha Tmeya, Ad Sheyetze Madve Derech Ervasa. I will say from this pasuk of Dava, from this phrase of Dava and Ervasa, we learn that a woman is only considered to be a Niddah when she experiences a flow of blood in a natural way, through the vaginal canal and exiting the body in a natural fashion. So therefore I will say this is very interesting. So halacha l'maisa, what the Gemara is suggesting over here, Rabbi Yochanan is suggesting over here, is that even according to the Rabban, just follow this for just a moment, even according to the Rabbanan who hold mikar mikomo tameh, which means any blood that comes in contact with the uterus by definition is tameh. If that blood exits the body via the yotzei dolphin, via an incision, a cesarean section, not naturally, but exits the body that way, that blood may perhaps can convey tumah, but it's not what? It's not tumas niddah. Because tumas niddah could only occur when ultimately, again, the blood exits the body in a normal fashion. Shabbos says, kind of just to bring everything together over here. So what it comes out is we have a number of really fascinating machloksim unfolding over here. Of course, the major machlokis that we are focusing on is the machlokis in Rabbi Shmuel and the Rabbanan regarding yotzei dolphin. Is yotzei dolphin a birth or not? Rabbi Shimon ultimately saying yes, the Rabbanan saying no. Another ramification that Rabbi says, what happens if a woman bleeds 3 days leading up to a yotzei dolphin birth, and that bleeding is taking place during her yemei zivos? The Rabbanan will say, ultimately again, because yotzei dolphin is not a leida, therefore she's yoledes bezov. Rabbi Shimon will say, because yotzei dolphin is a leida, she's not yoledes bezov. What about blood that comes out of the yotzei dolphin incision? What's the status of that blood? Shabbos says, so this now is a separate machlokes. Rabbi Shimon says the blood is tahar. Why is the blood tahar? Because Rabbi Shimon holds makar mikomo tahar. That ultimately, again, just because blood is in the uterus does not make it tameh. Therefore, blood that comes out of the incision will be tahar. The Rabbanan will say mikar mikomo tameh. The uterus itself is tameh. Any blood that's there is tameh. Therefore, when the blood comes out from the incision, she's tameah. But what kind of tumah? One thing is clear we don't know yet, but one thing is for sure, which is what? It's not tumas niddah. Why is it not tumas niddah? I will say because everybody is going to agree that in order halacha l'maisa for a woman to become a niddah, what has to happen? What has to happen? The blood has to exit the body in a normal fashion. If the blood doesn't exit the body in a normal fashion, then halacha l'maisa, she is not Tameya Tumas Niddah. Beautiful. Amrei Shlakish. Mishum Bihudin Isiya. So we'll say, so Gemara goes on. So Rabbi Shlakish says as follows. Mikar Shene'ekar V'nafal La'aretz Tameya. So we'll say, listen to this case. Let's say a woman has a collapsed uterus. Right? So literally what it means is the makar, the uterus, was uprooted from its place, it collapsed, V'nafal La'aretz, and it fell to the ground. Now I will say, now what they're really talking about over here is as follows. A piece of the uterus exits the body. So she expels a piece of the uterus. So what's the halacha? Tmeya. Ultimately, again, she's Tmeya. Shneimar. Now each of them quotes the pasuk over from Yechezkel. Yan hishafich nichushteich vatigala ervasech. So if you look at Rashi just a moment, Rashi says Shnekar chatichas basar. So a piece of the uterus comes out of her. So ultimately, again, the Brisa says, Rabbi Shlakish says that she is Tameya. Quotes this pasuk. Rashi's nechushteich is shulayich. So what I say here, the girls understanding the pasuk that because hashafach nechushteich, your nechushteich was spilled out. They're understanding nechushteich to mean shulayich, right? What I said the shulayim means like the bottom, right? The bottom of the utensil. So they're understanding it to be a reference over here to the uterus. V'hainu mikar vatigali ervaseich alma ne'kar v'neshbach la'aretz kari la'erva. So you see that when the uterus comes out, it's still called the erva, and therefore she's tameya. To which the Gemara says, Lamai. Now, when you say she's tameya, what type of tumah? Ilema tumas shiva. If you want to say, was it? Excuse me. If you want to say that she's tamei tumas nida, That can't be. Why? Dam amrachmana v'lo chaticha. As Rabbi said, when it comes to Tumas Niddah, woman is only Niddah when? If halacha l'maisa she expels blood. One thing is clear, which is what Rabbi saying, that a piece of the uterus is not blood. So it can't be Tumas Niddah. Rather, Ela Tumas Erev. Rather, Rabbi said, what it means is like this, that if you hold that the uterus itself is Tameah, so therefore when the uterus exits the body, she has come in contact with a Davar Hatame. What does that do? It conveys a very basic low-level Tumah called Tumas Erev, which essentially means what? She becomes Tameah that day, could go to the mikvah, it's a one-day Tumah, and ultimately again becomes Tar at night. Fine. Shabbos says, so Amar Rabbi Yochanan, that's the end of that discussion. Rabbi Yochanan, Mekar she'ezia kishtei tipe marglios tmeya. What's very interesting? Rabbi Yochanan says that if the uterus expels 2 drops, Rashi says over here, tipe marglios dam lavan vitzalu. So this is talking about some type of whitish, clearish emission. If you know for sure that it's from the uterus, ultimately again she's tmeya. She's Tameah Lemay. Now, I will say, what does this mean? Tameah for what? Tumas Shiva. If you want to say that she's Tameah, Tumas Shiva means Tumas Niddah. If you want to say that she becomes a Niddah, that can't be. Why? Because Chamisha Dvarim Tameah and Be'isha V'sulo. We'll say ultimately what? We know that there are 5 types of blood that ultimately again are Tamei Tumas Niddah and no more. The Gemara says, Ela Tumas Erev. Rather what it means is like this. So this is actually quite interesting. So if you go with the idea that Mekar Mekomo Tamei, that ultimately again the uterus itself is Tameah, what that means, Rabbi say, is that even in case number 1, if a piece of the uterus exits her body, she's Tameah. Why? Because she has come in contact with a Davar Hatame. Now, granted, it only conveys a very low-level tumah of Tumas Erev. Same idea, if she expels some type of uterine liquid, these 2 droplets, right, uterine liquid, if she comes in contact with them, meaning as that exits the body, and therefore, again, she comes in contact with it, it will convey to her tumah. What type of tumah? Tumas Erev. Again, low-level tumah, just she's tummy until that night. V'dav katarti, but this is only if she expels 2 droplets, Aval chada, but if it's only 1 droplet, then what? Imar ma'al ma'asya. Then I will say, ultimately, again, we would attribute that to something other than the uterus. Good. So let's remember again, now we begin an interesting discussion. So the Mishnah told us that one of the novelties by Hilchos Niddah, Rabbi say, is what? That the uterine blood need not exit the body in order for a woman to go ahead and become Tamei Tumas Niddah. It's very important. I will say, as opposed to other types of emissions, like Balkari or Zav, where ultimately, again, you're only Tamei when the emission leaves the body. When it comes to Niddah, she is Tameah already when the blood is inside the body. When? So the Lashon of the Mishnah was even Bebeis HaChitzon. So we'll say, we assume, what does Beis HaChitzon mean? Or what does Beis HaChitzon not? It's a very open-ended question. Beis HaChitzon is not what? Not the uterus. So the blood has left the uterus, right? Because obviously when the blood is in the uterus itself, that's not where blood has left the uterus and is somewhere still internally, what we call the outer chamber. So the Gemara says, Heini Beis HaChitzon. What's the Beis HaChitzon? Amrei Shlakish, Kol Shetinokas Yosheves Veniras. It refers to the part of the body where if a young girl is sitting, it would be the part of the erva that would be exposed when she is sitting. So we'll say, so therefore it's still inside of the body, but would be visible outside of the body. Rabbi Yochanan says, no. Oso makam galuihu eitz al sheretz. We'll say that's considered to be an exposed part of the body. So we'll say, he's getting over here into Tumas Sheretz. The halacha is that if a person has contact with a sheretz, they contract Tumas Sheretz, but only if the sheretz touches them on or if the contact is on an exposed part of the body. Let's say there's contact with a sheretz, but it's in quote unquote so the sheretz comes internally to the individual. Halacha l'maisa, that does not convey tumah. So this part of the body is exposed l'gabe tumah sheretz. Ella bein hashinayim kilifnim. I lost the place. Ella am Rabbi Yochanan ad bein hashinayim. Rather, Rabbi say it means these interesting lashon over here until the teeth. So apparently, what it's referring to, we're gonna dispel this in just a moment. But ad bein hashinayim, until the internal part of the woman that's called bein hashinayim, which Rabbi say is some internal part between ultimately again the uterus and the vaginal canal. Ibailahu Bein Yishnayim kilifnim or kilachutz. Is the area Bein Yishnayim considered inside or outside? Tashma the Tani Rabbi's Tashma the Tani Rabbi Zakai ad Bein Yishnayim atzman kilifnim. B'masnisa Tana makom disha. Rabbi here's the definition we're going to go for. So the Gemara says, what does Beis HaChitzon mean? Until the place of threshing. My makom disha. Am Rabbi Yehuda makom shamash dash. The Rabbi say, what's Beis HaChitzon? Beis HaChitzon is the area inside of the vaginal canal that ultimately, again, that the man is able to get to during bia, during relations. So what it's saying over here is even in that part of the body, if blood is there, so blood has been released from the uterus, exited the cervix, and ultimately again is in the vaginal canal, even though again it might be really internal into our body, place of the body that's only accessed during bia, halacha lemaisa, she is timea tumas niddah. Well, so we'll stop over here for today. We're going to continue in this discussion, still trying to define the Beis HaChitzon.